A very good afternoon to all of you. Today I'm going to take on some language exercises and little errors that are made while speaking and writing. Okay, so the first thing that I begin with is the error that is made between in spite of and despite. Now, we have off with in spite. In spite of practicing hard, we lost the game. But the error that is committed is with despite also people tend to use of. But with despite of is not used. It is only used with in spite. I-N-S-P-I-T-E. In spite of. And just as I did the first sentence with you, in spite of practicing hard, we lost the game. Now the same sentence, if I had to use with despite, I would say, despite working hard, we lost the game. Next sentence, in spite of having an umbrella, I got drenched. Now the same sentence with despite, I will write, despite having an umbrella, I got drenched. They both mean although or even though, but you must remember that despite is not used with of, and it is a little more formal way of writing or speaking than in spite of. So please remember, in spite of and despite, only despite. The other error that is made is between the words enter and enter into. Okay, generally we say the children entered into the school, the children entered into the classroom. Now entered itself means coming in, so there is no point in using into with enter. So we should say the children entered the school, the children entered the classroom. Okay. Now, we do have the words entered into, like for example, if we say, we entered into a discussion, okay, then we entered into an open debate, okay. So you must remember that when we are talking about a location or a physical area or physical entry, then we do not use into with enter, okay? But otherwise, when we are talking about like a discussion or a debate or a conversation, we entered into a conversation, in those cases, we do use enter into, but not with a physical area or a location or something that shows physical entry, okay? For example, I'll just give you a few more. She forbid him to enter the room. Not she forbid him to enter into the room. She forbid him to enter the room. The guard opened the door to allow me to enter the building. Okay. Now, you enter college, you enter politics, you enter a profession, you enter a competition, etc. Okay. Enter into is to start or to get involved or to take part in a discussion or any other formal activity. Examples, the organization entered into an agreement with a private firm to operate the security system. Second example, the government entered into a genuine dialogue with the terrorists. Okay? So when there's a discussion or when there's some kind of a formal activity, then you can use enter into, not otherwise. Okay. Now, the other common mistake that you all generally make is between bought and brought. Bought means to buy and brought means to bring. Okay. She brought me a glass of water, which is a past tense of bring. And I bought a pair of trousers from the market. Okay, bought. So don't interchange them, brought and bought. Okay. The other common error that I have noticed, in school with children is that sometimes, like children, when they want to ask, but they put it across as a statement, then what do they say is, the bell has rung. They take the rung up to give it the, the structure of a question. But when you're saying the bell has rung, if you look at it, it is a statement. The bell has rung. But generally, children in school tend to make this mistake and they ask, the bell has rung? The period is over? So they take the last words up to give it the form of a question. So that is incorrect. So what should be the right way? Has the bell rung? Is the period over? Okay. So you cannot put it in a statement to ask a question. So that is a very, very common mistake made by children in school. Then another common error that students tend to make is, did not. The word that they use with did not is the past tense. Okay, like they'll say, the teacher asked them something and then the child will say, did not knew, did not brought. So that is very, very a wrong way of speaking and writing. So you must remember that, you cannot use the past tense with the word did and then did not. Okay, you have to use the very first form of the word. Okay, so not to use the past tense. I'll give you examples. Like for example, it is take the word know. Know, knew, known. Okay, so you always have to use the simple present form of the verb with did. Simple present form of the verb with did. Example, I did not bring my book. You should not say I did not brought my book. Okay, I did not bring my book. I did not know about this project. You will not say I did not knew. Okay, so you use the simple present form of the verb. Another example I can give you is, I did not listen to his advice. It will not listen, listened, listened. Okay, the past participle is also listened and the past tense is also listened. So here you will use only the simple present tense and you'll say, I did not listen to his advice. So just remember, with the verb, you have to use the simple present tense. Okay. Now, then another common error that children generally tend to make while writing and speaking both is they use the word use. I used to go to the skating rink. They just write U-S-E, but they forget to put the D with it. So when you're using that word, it has to be used with a D, okay? Used. I used to go to the skating rink. I used to help my mother. I used to go for a walk every day. Please don't leave it at U-S-E, use. You have to use the D with it, okay? That's a very, very common error. Now, now we come on to some homophones. For example, beside and besides. Okay, so beside, come and sit beside me. That means next to me or close to me. Come and sit beside me. Now, beside is a preposition that means close to or next to. Okay, then we also use it in different forms. He was beside himself with joy. Very, very happy. We use it that way, a phrasal sentence form. He was beside himself with joy, or he was beside himself with grief. Then also we use these words, okay? Sometimes we also say whatever you're talking, I mean, it's not making any sense. And all that is being said is beside the point, okay? Not relevant. So one is next to me or close to me. The next one is to express any emotion, whether it's joy or sorrow. And the other one, it talks about relevance. This is beside the point, not relevant at all, okay? Now we come on to the word besides, okay? Now, besides means apart from or in addition to, okay? that is also a preposition or a linking adverb, okay, which means in addition to or apart from. It can also be used as an adverb, kriya visheshan, that means, furthermore or another thing. I'll give you some examples. Besides Sonia, who else went to the concert? That means apart from, who else? What does she have that I don't besides her eyes? She wants to learn other languages besides English and French. Besides here means in addition to. The play is excellent. And besides, the tickets don't cost much. Now this sentence which I just said, the play is excellent, that's one part. Second part says, and besides, the tickets don't cost much. Now this is an afterthought. Somebody says, why did you go or where did you go? So you can say that, I went to see the play. The play is excellent, and then you get an afterthought, you want to add something to it. So the play is excellent, and besides, the tickets don't cost much, okay? So that is why I want to go and see it. Two reasons. Afterthought. Another example for afterthought I'll give you. Besides watching Star Wars, what else do you like to do? Okay? Another one. I don't want to go outside. It's too cold. Besides, my sister is here. And you must remember to put a comma after besides. Okay? So that's an afterthought, another reason that you give. Okay. Then the other common mistake that you make is using for and since. It's a very, very common error that is made. Now you must remember that for and since are both used, to show a period of time or a stretch of time, okay? But, they have to be used in the right context. So, for is used with a period of time. How long? And since is used to refer to a specific point in time, the starting time. I'll give you some examples. I have been standing here for 2 hours, okay? A period of time, okay? How long? I've been standing here for 2 hours. Now, if I said, I have been standing here since 5 o'clock. So, I'm giving a specific time. I'm giving a starting time that I've been standing here since 5 o'clock. So, the starting time is there, okay? So that, and a specific point in time has been given. So there I will use since. But when I'm giving a period of time, how long, the stretch of time, then we will use for. Some more sentences. My sister has lived in England for 10 years. Now we don't know which 10 years, beginning of the, 1980 or 1990 or 2000, we don't know. We just know for 10 years, the period of time, a stretch. But if I have to give a specific time, then I will use since. My sister has lived in England since 1995. So I'm giving a specific time. I'm giving a starting time. So I will use since. I have lived here for 20 years. I have lived here since I was 5 years old. Now, another different sentence I'll give. I have been waiting here for 2 hours. I have been waiting here since 2 o'clock. Now, it's very true, since and for is clear. Stretch of time is for, and if you have a starting time or a specific point of time, then you use since. But there is a little exception. Since can also be used with it has been plus the period of time. I'll give you an example. It has been 2 months since I last saw her. Okay, here we don't have a specific time, we don't have, you know, the starting time, but what do we have over here to remember? It has been. So when you have a sentence with it has been, then also you will use since, even if you don't have the starting time or the specific time. It has been 2 months since I last saw her. Another sentence, it has been 3 years since the last earthquake. Okay, so where you have it has been, there please use since. Okay, all right, then we come on to another. Okay, now we come on to certain words, you know, which are confused, and these are homophones like advice and advise. Okay, practice and practice, license and license, device and devise, complement, complementary. Okay, so you must I mean, you don't have to get confused. Okay, so we will take on the first one, advice. Now I asked him to give me a piece of advice. Now anything, what is advice? Advice is either an opinion or an idea or a recommendation or a counseling or some kind of help that is given. So in that form, it is the name of a thing. So any naming word is called a noun. Okay, telling people what to do, simple as that. So telling people what to do is advice. So that advice is the name of the thing that is given to people in the form of an opinion, a recommendation, or help in any form. So remember that ADVICE is advice, and ADVISE, we have S here, but we will give it the sound of Z, advise. Okay, so when we have S, it becomes a verb. Okay, noun is sangya and verb is kriya. Kaam ke karne ko kriya kehte hain. So when it does the act of doing something, it becomes a verb. Okay, so now there is a simple clue to remember. It's like, or like advice, then practice and practice, and license and license, and all these words. Okay, we take on, if you have ICE in the sentence. Okay, now what is ice? Ice is frozen water. So what is the name given to frozen water? Ice. So what is ice? Ice is a noun. Okay, so you remember it that way. So the words which have ICE in it, they are nouns. Okay, they are used as nouns. They are used as naming words. Okay, excuse me. You give advice, you receive advice. Okay, advice is a noun, which means a suggestion about what you should do. On the other hand, advise means to give counsel or offer an opinion. To advise is an action, a doing word, which is a verb. Okay, now we'll do certain examples. Now this word advise, it is a verb, as I told you, it's a kriya. And you will find it with the subject of the sentence. Okay, because it's a verb, it's a doing word. So there has to be a subject in the sentence. For example, the teacher advised the students to be in groups before proceeding on the trip. Now the teacher advised. So the advise is the act of doing something. Okay, so that is a verb. Okay, and who's the subject? The subject is the teacher. So there has to be a subject who gives this advice. Okay, who performs this action, this act. Okay, so we'll do another sentence. The doctor strongly advised him to quit smoking. Again, the doctor is the subject and advised is the verb. Next one, she had to advise the new staff on school safety rules. Okay, advise. Now, who's the subject? She. It could be the principal, it could be the teacher, it could be the headmistress, anybody. Okay? Next one. The detective advised the family to remain silent. The detective is the subject, and what did he do? He did the act. So the verb is advised the family to remain silent. Okay? So please remember that, these are words that are usually confused. I'll give you some sentences for advice. ICE. You have done this before. Please give me your advice. Okay? I need your advice on which car to buy. Now this advice is a noun because it is an opinion, a suggestion, a recommendation. Okay? So it's giving you that. So that is a noun. We must never ignore our parents' advice. Noun. Okay? His advice is very logical. Noun. He is a great person. His advice matters a lot. Okay, so these are all nouns. He gave us profound advice. Maybe it's a guru or a teacher or something. Okay, and there can be advice in various forms, like some legal advice or some investment advice or some medical advice. So, also remember ICE. Ice, if you remember the word ice is frozen water. It's the name given to a frozen water. Ice is a noun. So words which end in ICE are nouns, and the verbs ending in ISE are verbs. Kriya. Okay? Okay, now I'll give you a sentence which has both the words in it together. His advice was not practical, but he insisted to advise us. Okay, advise. So the first one, his advice was not practical, that's his noun, but he insisted, because the subject here is he. So he insisted to advise us. Okay, so both the words I put in one sentence. Similarly, I'll give you another example. It's easy to give advice, but difficult to follow advice. Somebody who tells you to do something. It's very easy, Advice sometimes is given free of cost. But it is very difficult to follow advice that somebody gives you. Okay? Now, advice is an uncountable noun. And uncountable nouns do not have plural forms. We do not say advices, okay? We just say advice. So they cannot be used with a before it or an before it, okay? So what do you have to say if you can't use a or an because they are uncountable? So what will we say? You have the words you can use are a piece of advice, a word of advice, or a bit of advice. That will help you out better. Okay, so just to wrap it up, advise means to give advice, an act of giving. And advice is the information or the opinion that you either give or receive. And advise is what you do when you instruct. So I am sure it will be clear. Just remember, ice is noun and ISE is verb. Now the same thing we have with practice and practice. We have one PRACTICE and the other one we have PRACTISE. In these words, the pronunciation is the same. Like in advice and advisor, the pronunciation was different. But here the pronunciation is same. So remember, ICE, ice, that's a noun. It refers to an act itself and not who is doing it. Remember, it refers to the act itself and not who is doing it. Okay. You must have done this before also, I'm very, very sure. But sometimes it just happens that you tend to make a mistake. You must have heard a very common statement that we make, practice makes a man perfect. Now what is this practice? This is the act of repeatedly doing something, gaining some kind of skill. So it is a noun, okay? So whatever you do, that makes a man perfect. Now, if I have to say, I need to practice my flute today. I need to practice my flute today. Now, this practice means the act of playing the flute, practicing with the flute. And we have the subject I, okay? So the subject is going to act, is going to do something with the flute. So that is a verb. Then another one, she practices law in Delhi. She practices law. Now she is the subject, she's practicing, that means she's carrying on, okay? Working as a lawyer or an advocate. So she practices law in Delhi. Then we also say he practices medicine in Mumbai. Okay? And practice makes a man perfect. For next one that we have, is the word complement and complement. One is C-O-M-P-L-I-M-E-N-T and one is C-O-M-P-L-E-M-E-N-T. Okay? Now the word with I, complement, it is related to, when you admire somebody, you praise somebody, you flatter somebody, okay? And you are approving of something. So who, these days, we should say that, she compliments very generously. That means she gives lots of compliments. I got so many compliments today. So everybody likes to be complimented. That is C-O-M-P-L-I-M-E-N-T. Okay? And then, we also have sometimes, you win a ticket, complimentary tickets. You've played some game or some kind of thing and you have won there. So I have won complimentary tickets to Switzerland. So that is also C-O-M-P-L-I-M-E-N-T-A-R-Y. Complimentary. Okay. I complimented her, some examples. Okay. Then you have the other word, that is complement, C-O-M-P-L-E-M-E-N-T. Now this complement means something that completes, to be a part of, to enhance, okay? So complement, C-O-M-P-L-E-M-E-N-T. It means to complete, to be a part of, to enhance. Now here I can say, your shoes complement your dress. Okay, that means they're enhancing your dress, and your shoes are, a part of your whole attire, your get-up. So it's complementing. A husband and wife should complement each other. Okay, they should complete each other. They should enhance their marital status. Okay. So remember, C-O-M-P-L-I, complimentary is, when you're praised, you're admired, you're approved of something. And the other the things that you get, complimentary items, they are given or supplied free of cost, maybe as a reward, or you have won as a gift, So just as a compliment also comes as a gift. All these complimentary tickets that you're talking about, or you're talking about a complimentary birthday cake, or you're talking about complimentary greetings, they all come as a gift, okay? Now we come on to the word license and license. One is L-I-C-E-N-C-E and one is L-I-C-E-N-S-E. Now here, the one with the C, remember, is a noun, and the one with the S, remember, is a verb, okay? Now, for example, you need a license to drive. Now, what is this license? It's the name of a document. It's the name of a permit. It's the name given to a permission. So it is the name of a certain thing. So when we have LICENCE, it is used as a noun, sangya, okay? You need a license to drive. I have lost my driving license, okay? So again, a noun, because it's a document, a permit, a permission. Now the other one is license with an S, doing word. Here it is a kriya. This restaurant is licensed to serve alcohol. Is licensed. That means they can give or they can serve alcohol. This shop is licensed to sell diamonds. Okay. James Bond is licensed to kill. So just remember, the easy way to remember is license and license. Now we don't have ice here. So you just remember the one with the C. C comes before N. N is a noun. So C comes before N. So just remember, C is a noun and S comes before V, that is verb. So the one with S is a verb. Okay. Then we come on to another set of words, that is devise and device. Okay. Device. Now device is a noun. It's the name of a certain thing which refers to an object, a complex object or a plan, okay, that, gets made by someone. And devise, D-E-V-I-S-E, is a verb which means to make something, okay. So examples, the market is flooded with electronic devices, objects, okay, gadgets. So that is a noun. Second one, the mouse and keyboard are input devices, okay. It's the name given to a particular part which is used when you use your computers. All writers use literary devices in their writings to create a special effect. Now all of you are familiar with your literary devices, similes, metaphors, repetition, onomatopoeia, and all those other things, So those are literary devices, okay? Words or, a name given to particular words that are used to describe something, okay? Literary devices. Next one, the cell phone is a useful device. It's a useful gadget. It's the name, okay? We are capable of handling this device, okay? So device is basically that object. It's a complex object or a normal object, or it's a plan that you make. Device, okay? Whereas devise with an S is a word which means to plan, to contrive, or to invent, okay? Examples, the teachers devised a new method of taking tests, okay? Devised a new method. They created a new method of taking tests. It is going to be very difficult for us to devise a plan that suits everybody, that make a plan which will suit everybody. Nature has devised everything so perfectly, has planned everything so perfectly, created everything so perfectly. Man can never devise ways better than God. Make ways, create ways, okay? Then Tata Automobiles devised a car which could be bought by the low income group, okay, people, okay? So devised a car, created a car, okay, made a car. Is that clear? Okay. Now another set of words that are confused is alternate and alternative. Though earlier on, they used to interchange them, but then in between there came a period where they said that no, they are not interchangeable. But people try to use them, but then the meaning, is not very, very clear. Alternate and alternative. Just go alternative, but the pronunciation is alternative. Okay. To alternate means to take turns. And alternative is an option or a possibility. Example I'll give you. I go for my guitar classes on alternate days. I take it in turns. I go today, then tomorrow I take rest, and then I will go day after tomorrow. Alternate days, okay? They meet on alternate days, okay? Leaving out a day in between, they take it in turns. The traffic was directed to take the alternate route, a different route, okay? Not go from there, but to take a different route. Garbage collection is done on alternate days. The person who comes to collect comes, on alternate days, leaves one day in between. An actor's career alternates between extreme success and being without work. Alternates means a phase comes where, he has a lot of work, an actor has a lot of work, and there comes a phase when there is no work at all. So it alternates, okay? Day and night is an alternating process, okay? Day and night is an you have day, then you have night, then you have day. So it's an alternating process. Now, alternative means that there is no other option, okay? Alternative means that there should be an option, a possibility. Now, the teacher has told you to find out ways and means to do something, and there is only one way of doing it. So the children come up and say, ma'am, there's no alternative. There's no other option. Another sentence, we have no alternative energy source ready to be used. We have no other option. There's no other possibility. We need to have an alternative plan. Supposing you have plan A, but then you are not very sure whether plan A is going to succeed. So what do you have to have up your sleeve? You have to have an alternative plan, plan B, to back you up, okay? So another option, another possibility. Is that clear? So these are some of the words, that are generally confused. Okay. Now, we come across another set of words, that is affect and effect, okay? Affect and effect. Now, affect means to influence, and it kind of produces a change, okay? You either change someone or you change something due to, something affecting, okay? Example, modern technology has affected the youth, has brought about a change, it has influenced them, it has brought about a change. And we can continue in the same sentence to have both the words. Modern technology has affected the youth, and surely the effect is not favorable. Effect means the result or the consequences of that thing which has affected is not favorable. So effect means the change or the result that is finally brought about. Some examples. Excess of TV viewing affects the eyesight. Affects, okay? His parents' advice did not have any effect on him. Effect, E-F-F-E-C-T. Effect means no result, no good consequences, okay? Global warming affects the environment, influences the environment. It has brought about a change. It produces a change. Temperatures are rising, and we have drought conditions, or we have heavy rains, okay? So global warming affects the environment. Smoking affected his lungs. It brought about a change. It influenced. Now this can be said in another way to use effect. Smoking had an adverse effect on his health. Adverse effect, negative effect, bad effect, ill effect, okay? Losing her mother at a young age affected her, influenced her, changed her. This could be written in the other way to use affect. The loss of her mother had a great effect on her. Okay? So affect and effect. Remember, to influence, to produce a change, to change someone, to change something, that's affect. And the result that you get, or the consequences, or the change that occurs, that means effect. Okay. Well, I think for today, this much is enough. I will continue with more classes, bringing out more homophones and more vocabulary and more words that, are, actually used in the wrong context or used wrongly. And thank you very much for listening and watching. God bless you all.